Let's talk about the socio-political implications of the Paul versus Tyson fight. Although there was a victor in the fight, which was Jake Paul, I believe the real purpose of the fight was to reframe the media into getting used to having white saviors and white victors. What I mean by that is to continuously have media that reinforces the idea that whiteness will always dominate and whiteness will always win. And anyone that isn't white, in this case black, is scary and mean and needs to be defeated. The purpose of the fight was to crown a white victor, even though the circumstances and the reason for the fight doesn't actually have a victor involved, if that makes any sense. This also goes into what Trump represents to a lot of his white supporters. A lot of Trump supporters actually don't care about Trump as a leader or as a human being. They just like the ideas that he reinforces. A wealthy white businessman being the most powerful person in the world. And for a lot of people, that's what they wanted to see. They didn't care whether it's at their expense or not. They just want to see, again, a white victor. My theory is also confirmed based on Jake Paul's finishing speech, in which he talked about how America is going to be healthy again, how there's America's back, and talked about the police. The interesting thing about this whole fight was the scenarios and the contracts in which it was constructed. It was clear that this was an exhibition fight, meaning that the purpose of the fight was more so to entertain and not actually display talent. And it was also clear that Tyson was holding back. Now, if you're like me and you grew up in the 90s, you remember that Tyson's best stronghold wasn't that he was a defensive boxer, but he was an offensive boxer, meaning that he could throw some punches. I found it very interesting to see that Tyson did not throw not one uppercut, which is really against his fighting style, in my opinion. Him not throwing uppercuts, him not going for clear knockouts, him not, honestly, even if he was tired, hitting Jake with an 8-piece, lets me know that there was more motivations in his fighting style than actually trying to knock out his opponent. After a while, he seemed winded and tired and honestly just trying to make it to the 8 rounds. And Jake Paul honestly looked a bit more inexperienced, in my opinion. He didn't look like a confident fighter either, but that's just my opinion. One of the things that I found so interesting on this idea of perpetuating a white victor is seeing that Jake Paul's whole team was black. And I think that is a great metaphor for the reality of this white victor means as we're entering into this new Trump presidency. A lot of these white victories are going to be built on the labors of black, brown, indigenous, and minority people. But of course, they're going to take all the credit, even though the fight was rigged, even though they were fighting opponents that were not their actual size, weight, and age. They're going to try to appear victorious. That's my thought. Let me know what y'all think.